Good morning, Bengaluru and Hyderabad. Okay, so I'm on the way to Hyderabad for a quick one-day session that I'm doing for a wonderful bunch of women on inclusion and diversity and ensuring that they forge on in their careers and don't get off till they retire, right? We want them to be productive, we want them to be contributing to the economy till their dying day. Now, coming to the subject of this talk, I'm going to give you a quick insights on something called positive feedback, right? We're going to talk about what is positive feedback, why it is important, and how much of it that you need to give, and a quick structure on how you can do your positive feedback. At the end of this talk, I would love it if you could share some resolutions, something that you would like to take forward having heard this talk. Right? So what is the importance of positive feedback? Now, one of the things that really immediately occurs to us, right, when we wake up and we get out of our houses, get to our offices, start working with our people and teams, is the amount of things that are not going right. Yeah. It's that classic black dot on a white paper syndrome. I can have a huge cutout of white paper, and in that, if there's one little blotch of black dot, that is what I will notice. So it's the same thing with our team members, it's the same thing with our family and friends. We tend to see and notice the negatives and talk about the negatives and get worried about it and bugged about it rather than think about all the positives that happen. Now, this talk is mostly for my team in Bhagirathi. So if you look at, some of the wonderful positives of all of us at Bhagirathi, right? It's a profitable company. We have a great, strong pipeline for sales. We are hiring amazing people, on a day-to-day basis, from the CSA and the CCA level, that is our customer service associates and our childcare associates who primarily do all the driving and the bus nannying work, right, to people across all levels, right? So many people are willing to work with us, join us and do such a wonderful job, right? Month on month, we're billing our customers. We have a lot of people who want to work with us and want us to be their vendors. We have people who want us to be their sub vendors. So all in all, the company is strong, right? And we're a lovely bunch of people. We like each other. We can really party hard and have a lot of fun together, right? Now, when we come in, right, of course there are a lot of things that we can improve, right? Things are not perfect. We can be at a much higher growth trajectory. We can be far more productive, right? But if I just start talking about all the negative stuff that is happening, where is the motivation for anyone to really do something that is positive, right? So can I start with appreciating things that have got us here, that has kept us secure, all the wonderful 90% of the great things that happen in the day, and the 10% of the things that we need to correct. So the importance of recognizing that the good that people do is really anchored in the fact that if you talk about the good, they're likely to be much more motivated to make improvements, right? Another very strong insight that I wanted to share with you is nobody, and I mean nobody, wakes up in the morning expecting to do a bad job, wanting to be reprimanded, wanting to be that person who the boss is going to take off on, right? So when you wake up, there are of course some people who will plan their day meticulously and other people who come in to their day, respond, react to what is happening, but neither of them plan to do a bad job, right? So what happens? So sometimes bad jobs happen because people haven't been trained well enough, people haven't been directed well enough, people haven't been given enough guidance as to what is the expectation, right? So that is point number one. The second insight is, even when people are doing a bad job, because the intention was really to do a good job, right, they tend to think that, look, I worked hard, I put in the effort, my intention was good, so the output is also good, right? So they imagine that the output is really good, even if they're making a mistake. And that's because they put in the right kind of effort, or maybe sometimes the wrong kind of effort, but misguided, they did work at it, right? So this is the second very interesting thing, that usually the person who's giving critical feedback is able to see the negative far more sharply than the person who's actually done, uh, you know, whatever it is that is wrong. Now, again, I mean, what is the intention of feedback? The intention of feedback is really to be able to improve the actions or bring consistency in good actions, right? It is to motivate good performance. So it becomes very, very important for us to look at setting standards, setting expectations, and then telling people what needs to be done. And then if there is a mistake, right, getting them to correct it. Now, having given you this little bit of a background, let us look at what is positive feedback. Okay, so positive feedback is empowering feedback. It is feedback that really helps motivate people and gives them energy to take in the negative feedback, right? And this is what we want people to do. We want people to be consistently improving. So where will they get that positivity to improve? If you kind of recognize all the good work that they're doing, right, that will energize them to apply that more consistently and get better at the work that they do, and minimize the mistakes that they make, right? So what is this funda of feedback, or what is the structure, right? So of course we can appreciate people. I'm very happy, you're doing a good job, well done, right? But that is just appreciation. That is not talking about the effort that the person has put in, and that's not talking about the positive results, right? So there is this company called DDI that created something called star feedback, and it's there in different forms across. When you Google it, you'll get a lot of information on structure of positive feedback. And this thing, that DDI created, they also shared with the rest of the world, right? They made it a little open. So what is the structure? So we say, when you're giving positive feedback, talk about the situation or task, right? ST. Then talk about the actions that the person took. Now this requires you to be mindful and aware of what the other person did, right? And that is itself magical, because that's when, as leaders or managers, you're learning from what is happening around you, right? So you talk about the actions that the person took, and then you need to kind of share the results, right? So I'll give you a quick example of a positive feedback that I shared just this morning. 4 a.m. I'm ready to kind of leave home to get to the airport, and I notice that my car is ready. He's waiting for me, the driver. And when I get into the car, it's beautifully clean, it's wonderful, and it smells lovely, right? And the person who's driving the car is talking to me so beautifully. So immediately I said, it's 4 a.m. You have brought such a clean car, you're early, this is just amazing, and the car smells good, and you're speaking so well. Thank you so much, because you've given me a great start for the day. So what was the situation? 4 a.m. pickup. What were the actions? Car is clean, driver is well turned out, and what was the result of it? I'm having a great day. Then I stretched it a little further. I hope you do this for every one of your customers, because if you really do this consistently, you will have great business, you will succeed, you will grow as a person, right? And the person who was driving my car actually said, yes ma'am, and I pride myself in doing it. I have so many loyal customers. I'm so happy that you are recognizing me, right? So now I have in a sense motivated him to kind of continue with this great behavior. I've recognized and motivated him, right? So this is like a basic structure of what we call the star feedback, and then we add additional actions, additional results. So what were the additional actions and results that I added? I talked about consistency, and I talked about success in career. So this brings us to the end of sharing this concept, and I'm boarding my flight now, as you can see. So one of the things that I would like you to do is figure out a quick resolution for yourself. How quickly are you going to apply this? Now, one of the things we say as adults, we only learn maximum when we start applying the gyan. Okay, so this 10% gyan, this session or the gyan that I've given you will have only a 10% impact on your learning, and that too if you've listened to everything that I've said and made notes, right? You get another 20% if you discuss this video with friends and talk about feedback and all of that. But 70% of mastery over the subject of giving feedback and positive feedback will only come if you practice it, right? So I want you to structure that feedback. Maybe you can start with giving me some positive feedback for putting this video together as a start, and I could comment back to you. I could let you know whether the structure is at least right. And then make sure that you apply it today. Apply it today with your colleagues, with your boss. This is wonderful. This, you know, you can give upwards, downwards, diagonally, left, right, center. Give it to your family, right? So start doing this. And maybe within a week, after you've done it a couple of times, make a resolution for yourself. Because I've had participants, when I've done workshops, come back to me and say that I've decided to do 5-star AR positive feedbacks a day. And then they make sure that they do it, right? So take, you know, a minimum of say 1 a week at least, and 5 a day, and see what you can do. And just a last parting insight on this, you know, sometimes we see a lot of great people who have a lot of wonderful followers. You see people like Sadhguru or Abdul Kalam and so many other people who are inspiring. If you hang out with them, if you ever get a chance to hang out with them, you'll realize that they're doing a lot of positive reinforcement all the time. You know, they're touching people's lives by noticing those positive things that people are doing and giving them that comment, right? So it's very, very empowering, and it puts you in a positive zone, because you suddenly realize what a wonderful, abundant, beautiful world you're living in. So have a great weekend. This is a video that I've cut on Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, and shine like the star that you are, with Star AR feedback that you can give to family, friends, and your colleagues at work. Have a great day.